We figured we'd be a bit less pretentious for the intro this time around, so we're only doing 2 sentences. Welcome to the VGAs for 2013. We've put a ton of hard work into these awards, and we have a lot in store for you. We hope you enjoy the show. What happens when you take a beloved franchise and shove Always Online DRM right up its ass? For no reason other than to force people to play online. You get Diablo 3, and that's the point where EA looked at Activision and said, "We're not gonna make that mistake. No sir, we're not gonna launch with a broken online service. We're gonna do one better and break the whole fucking game and the service." And so in 2013, EA gave us SimCity, a bloated, shambling corpse of a game that hardly worked even if you could get it to run during the launch. And sure, the game works now, but the damage is done. After many people's saves were deleted or ruined by griefers using exploits, we all moved on. And SimCity will forever serve as a reminder of how Electronic Arts got its name. Because their ability to fuck up electronic entertainment is truly an art form.
Dragon's Crown. Let's be honest, Dragon's Crown is an odd pick for Best New IP. On paper, it's the kind of high fantasy multiplayer beat-em-up you would expect from a 90s arcade game, only with added character progression. And yet we haven't really had anything like that since the 90s, and Dragon's Crown is bringing it back and kicking it up to 11. Adding drop-in online co-op and beautifully hand-drawn visuals that ooze with so much style and gratuitous sex appeal that one disgusting male player was driven into a bestial fit of violent, sex-crazed rage after viewing so many objectifying depictions of women. He was reported to have gotten up from his chair after playing the game and forcibly violating every woman in a 5-mile radius, securing the status quo of the patriarchy and its prevailing rape culture for at least another decade. We thank you, Dragon's Crown, and future generations of men and boys will remember what you have done for us. All hail the Patriarch Broodfather.
Defend the hostage before he is shot to pieces.
あなたのことを守らせてください。
Far Cry 3 was pretty good, but I think it's safe to say that some of us were a bit disappointed with the turn the story took after building up a certain character to be such a perfectly hateable motherfucker. Blood Dragon, on the other hand, has no pretensions of being a thought-provoking or compelling game. No. Instead, it opted to satirize 80s action flicks with its gratuitous violence, cyborgs, gorgeous women, and a rockin' soundtrack. And well, it did more than just pull it off, it completely nailed it. Blood Dragon is hilariously cheeky, while evoking that 80s nostalgia, and it was totally uncalled for. Nobody asked for it, nobody expected it, and yet somehow, it happened. And in spite of the name and shared engine, it wasn't even DLC, but a standalone package priced appropriately for its length.
People are dead, 4 others suffered serious injuries. Police have a suspect anyway.
Personal responsibility, personal responsibility.
When Kojima unveiled the Phantom Pain back in 2012, some of us had the sneaking suspicion that this was Snake's next sneaking mission. And with the release of the new trailer, our hunch was finally confirmed. This trailer revealed a ton, and yet it said absolutely nothing given just how dense Kojima's games are on plot. So many questions left unanswered. Guess we're gonna have to wait for this one, though if you asked us, we'd say this one's looking a hell of a lot better than 4. Even if the game ends up being terrible, you can't say Kojima's editors don't know how to generate hype, because, well, we really want this game to not suck. And hey, even our friends at Twitter and Facepunch seem to agree with us on this one.
Gordon, hold up a second.
Internal bleeding detected.
The more I think about that warning from our friend, the more I'm convinced it has to do with Borealis. Don't be deceived. That ship must never be used. You have got to destroy it, whatever the cost.
Bleeding has stopped.
Gordon, there's so much I need to tell you.
Prepare for unforeseen consequences.
2014.
I never thought it would take you this long to get back to me.
In these cases, simply press your primary fire again to stop the commentary. Please let me know what you think after you have had a chance to play. I can be reached at gaben@valvesoftware.com. Thanks, and have fun.
With the release of next-gen consoles, 4K TVs, and a whole new slew of technical buzzwords, most people think that visual aesthetics is a synonym for graphics. Dragon's Crown proves that association to be false. George Kamatani's signature 2D art style, as seen in Odin Sphere and Muramasa, is in full force. Hand-drawn visuals are used for a majority of the game's content, displaying a grandiose world with statuesque heroes and titanic bosses. The exaggerated art style brings the high fantasy world to life, dropping any notion of realism and instead embracing the otherworldly stylings of a Dungeons & Dragons style adventure. By using traditional art assets that envelop players within the world of the game, Dragon's Crown shows that strikingly impressive visual aesthetics will always be more important than graphical prowess, and takes V's pick for Eye Candy Award of 2013.
The loneliness was getting to Thomas. No amount of observation or obsessive note-taking could combat that.
The sunset light in this house is the saddest thing I've ever seen. I just want to sleep.
What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me, you've given me absolutely nothing so far.
As the credits roll, I burst into tears. I have gone home, and I have gone home, but I am not home.
This game is not for non-intellectuals and the unimaginative.
Eventually, a melancholy as you start to put all these little facets of the story together to a conclusion that, if not devastating, is something that has haunted me since I finished the game.
Some of the most engaging and emotional storytelling I have ever seen. Gone Home's ability to suspend belief is remarkable. This is in fact a video game.
The sunset light in this house is the saddest thing I've ever seen. I just want to sleep. When I'm in the attic, it almost feels like Lonnie could still be here. She's just downstairs. I'm just waiting to hear her pull down the hatch and come running out. Maybe I'll go up to the attic and wait.
On Home intentionally misrepresents sexual paradigms to oppress the man book.
Katie, I'm so sorry. I love you so much, Katie.
Extraordinary! Not since the last one has a video game made me shed tears. Instead of tears of sadness, I shed tears of happiness and joy for an ending that denied the usual trend of dark, gloomy, or even uncertain endings and gave us the fantastic narrative that is Gone Home.
Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow.
I should know his face. There are so few of us. I should know his face.
You know, a lot of viewers ask me, how do you sex a snake? So we decided to dedicate this entire episode to how we sex snakes here. There's really 4 techniques.
Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours.
Taking the premise of a war between angels and monsters and putting a unique twist on it, Luca's adventures escalate to new heights when the quest to unite humans and monsters reaches its final conclusion, surprisingly full with thought-provoking moral dilemmas, light-hearted humor, messages of tolerance, and god-tier rape scenes. Sorry, Internet. The denizens of V agree. This hot mess has a better story than the Stanley Parable and The Last of Us combined. Monster Girl Quest Chapter 3 wins Best Writing of 2013.
Mamma mia!
My theory is too much Xbox, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, we have way too many man boys today.
Man boys and too much Xbox.
We've talked about that on Full Circle before, too. The man boy syndrome, where they just don't leave home and they don't really have much motivation.
Video games.
Finding a respectable female protagonist in modern Vidya is a difficult task. Thankfully, Dragon's Crown gives you 3. With the Amazon's raw strength, the elf's nimble perseverance, and the sorceress's bountiful spells, players have a choice of female characters known for more than just their sexuality or gender. None of them are fragile escorts or overbearing independent women, but are valuable members of the party system, with capable combat skills and assets. Ample backstories add to their presence as characters, all reflective of the game's party characters right down to each NPC, stimulating the player's enjoyment of the game. All jokes aside, this game gives you female protagonists befitting the grandiose fantasy-style larger-than-life world that enhance the experience, rather than detract from it. Instead of offering cardboard cliches or lectures on sexuality, Dragon's Crown represents women as characters who are fully capable, and it deserves praise for embracing women instead of castrating or covering them up. The game represents women just as they are, curvy, capable, and characters worth playing as. Dragon's Crown takes V's pick for Plot and Backstory Award for 2013. And it happens to have pendulous breasts, too.
Here we are again with Monster Girl Quest Chapter 3 taking the award once more. Just like for the Reading Rainbow Award, Monster Girl Quest once again displays the power behind a story of love and tolerance through violence and rape. It's like Sengoku Rants if the roles were reversed. Chapter 3 continued from where things left off, with the war between Elias and her angels. We come to terms with many of the past plot points and of Luca's struggles, and after all these trials, we're rewarded with the final battle, and given the reasoning behind Elias's ways, leaving us with an ending any fat, horny neckbeard can respect. Monster Girl Quest Chapter 3 did something quite different than most other sequels in 2013. It didn't suck. It came out quite timely without removing any features for no reason. It didn't get casualized to appeal to any non-existent audience. It didn't have any part cut off to be sold as DLC, and it only cost $26 for the full game. Chapter 3 addresses all outstanding plot points and cliffhangers, leaving us with one of the most satisfying endings a video game has seen in years. Of all the iterative entries and franchises to come out last year, without a doubt, Chapter 3 is our pick for the greatest goddamn sequel of 2013. We figured we'd be a bit less pretentious for the intro this time around, so we're only doing 2 sentences. Welcome to the VGAs for 2013. We've put a ton of hard work into these awards, and we have a lot in store for you. We hope you enjoy the show. What happens when you take a beloved franchise and shove Always Online DRM right up its ass? For no reason other than to force people to play online. You get Diablo 3, and that's the point where EA looked at Activision and said, we're not gonna make that mistake. No sir, we're not gonna launch with a broken online service. We're gonna do one better and break the whole fucking game and the service. And so in 2013, EA gave us SimCity, a bloated, shambling corpse of a game that hardly worked even if you could get it to run during the launch. And sure, the game works now, but the damage is done. After many people's saves were deleted or ruined by griefers using exploits, we all moved on. And SimCity will forever serve as a reminder of how Electronic Arts got its name. Did anyone not see this one coming? SimCity took the same route as Diablo 3 and believed that in a vain attempt to stop online piracy, they would release a game with an always online internet connection. Here we are, not even a full year later, and they're already patching it out due to their idiotic mistakes. Getting down to the meat of why this game was chosen, it's fairly obvious to say that the always online DRM didn't work. The game was unplayable on launch for up to 3 days afterward as well, and finally started to open up after everyone returned their copy and gave up. Even after the servers came up, the game was unresponsive, and usually had a 500 plus ping for even the best and closest connections to the servers, and wouldn't even refresh neighboring cities, the major feature of the online functionality, for several hours at a time. Overall, it's the game that should have never been. And as a fan of the SimCity franchise, it really hurts me to say that. But hey, at least they're sorry.
We've always had the power. Not anymore.
Maybe I shouldn't go.
Jody, you've been begging me for weeks. You're not gonna back out now.
I don't know anybody there.
Dear Katie, so much has changed, even just since you've been away. We moved into this house. I'm in a new school.
The world is at last your bitch, as am I. Nothing left but to grab it by the hair, bend it over, and... What's the matter?
I suppose he does, but there's no point in asking.
Why not?
Because he doesn't row.
He doesn't row?
No, he doesn't row.
Ah, I see what you mean.
Okay, look, I'm putting down this script for a second because I refuse to be a bleating idiot and speak on behalf of you guys on this decision. Shut up. No, I didn't even play Gone Home. I mean, the press surrounding it spoiled everything for me anyways, but that's not the point. Small studios like Fulbright Company can't pay for that kind of critical acclaim, so what the fuck is this shit? I'm not going to sing its praises, but I cannot even fucking believe that any of you actually dropped $20 on the game when you knew exactly what you were getting into. You bandwagoning, unfunny fuck. What the fuck did I do?
Nothing quite as wonderful as money, money, money. There is nothing like a newly minted pound. Money, 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 money. Everyone must hanker for the butchness of a banker.
My name is John Walker. I come from a gaming site far from yours. I have journeyed across an ocean of tears to reach you. For some time now, your site has hated one of my favorite games. I request that you check your privilege and accept my opinions as fact. For reasons unknown, you have chosen to like games I deem deeply offensive. You have made efforts to have fun. It may seem like fun, but it is not fun. For those of you who hate the direction gaming is heading, the fate of the industry is out of your hands. To thee, I say this.
Just because Gone Home less than 2 hours and has no gameplay does not mean it isn't the best game ever made.
Roger, roll, Challenger. Good roll program confirmed. Challenger now heading down range. Four. Three. Two. One.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you! No, that wasn't a transcript of DMC Devil May Cry's most famous cutscene. Well, it was, but shut up, I'm going somewhere with this. That was also the back and forth between Ninja Theory and Devil May Cry fans. It seems like you can't go 2 months without finding some Capcom property whose community has been treated like an abused housewife. And it all began with Dante turning a tall, built wisecracker with a love for pizza and style into a short, angry kid in second-hand clothes with a wit that comes off more often as psychopathy hasn't caused this much character whiplash since Metal Gear Solid 2. The developers' vitriolic comments towards their prospective fans were no help in the build-up to release. Neither was the character design change from an obvious self-insert of the director to someone that looks like someone's bratty, prepubescent brother. In short, Ninja Theory's attempt to make Dante cool made him look like a psychopath, a poser, and most importantly, someone that isn't fun to play as. Oh, and his hair's the wrong color too.
In 2013, Naughty Dog released the masterful game The Last of Us, which blends tense moments of stealth with the horror of a post-apocalyptic setting. Number 3. Number 2. Ellen Page puts on a performance of a lifetime as Ellie, the young girl you are supposed to protect throughout the game. Ellen Page's performance is masterful, as every time you turn around you go, "Holy fuck, what the hell is that?" in reaction to looking at her annoying ass face. Number 1. I hope you enjoyed my segment, but more importantly, I hope you enjoy the rest of the awards. Thank you, and have a good night.
DOOMGUY Award for Best Character. Trevor Phillips. Senator Armstrong. Nanomachine son. Luigi. Jorge Gustava. Clementine.
Still not bitten.
And the winner is... This is one of the closest winners in the show, with Jorge Gustava being edged out by none other than Senator Armstrong with just 15 votes. But in the end, it has to be this way. How do you end a crazy-ass action game and conclude its crazy-ass story? After waves of cybernetic foes, robot dogs, and the winds of destruction, what kind of end boss could possibly be able to punctuate all that? Why, a United States Senator, of course. At the end of Metal Gear Rising, you fight a libertarian on steroids, and he kicks your ass. Metal Gear Rising made you fight the Senator of Colorado, and he was batshit insane. And that batshit insanity is what wins Senator Armstrong the award for Best Character of 2013.
And my big sister being gone for a year doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't feel real. But I'm not gonna let it faze me.
Yep, it's gone home. Again. When your game can be reproduced in RPG Maker and nothing is lost, you fucked up. Miserably. Horribly. There's nothing wrong with adventure games, but this isn't an adventure. There's no puzzle to solve, no mystery to unravel, no thinking required at any point. There's not even a lose condition. The worst you can do is stand around, doing nothing. Putting that aside, it's not a competently made game either. You don't need to experience the story to progress. If you know where the attic door is, you can immediately get the key and go there and win the game in less than 2 minutes. For a game where its only merit is the message, it doesn't even make sure you get that message. Walking around hardly qualifies as a game, and it's clear if you're playing it, it's for its story. Maybe we shouldn't dwell on it as a game so much. It hardly qualifies as one. Or maybe it's $20 which it is. Yeah, fuck you, Gone Home. This winner was clear. Gone Home takes the award for worst gameplay.
Now you're gonna mark it on the map. And it better be the same exact spot your buddy points to. Mark it.
I have a really interesting story to tell you this evening, so pay attention. It's a story of 7 people and a glimpse into a dark place.
That sounds awesome, Deadpool. Listen, I had a different take on it. Maybe we just make you, maybe it's an alternative type of Deadpool. It's somebody...
Yeah, well, fuck you, Nolan.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Oh, is that how you act, huh? When a friend makes a mistake, huh?
No,
really?
Man.
Oh,
no.
Oh, so what? It's just me getting hurt? Is that funny?
No,
huh?
man.
Well, fuck you!
It may be your mission, but I'm driving, Pierce.
Fine, but I control the radio.
Sure thing, Mr. Washington.
Nolan North. This guy has lent his talent to just about everything good in video games for a while now. You might call him the Tom Kenny of video games. Just in 2013, he gave us The Last of Us' antagonist, David, the Penguin from Batman Arkham Origins, the voice of the main character that most of us chose in Saints Row 4, and so many others that this thing would run too long if I read them all off. If you want an idea of the sheer range of this man's vocal talents, just look at Dota 2. He's practically every single character in the game. I mean, he is so good that voice actors have collectively agreed upon changing the professional title of voice actor to Nolan North Impersonator. You might be shocked to learn that this award is actually being presented by Nolan North himself, doing his impression of the host. Yes, my skills of mimicry are just that good, and I'm everywhere. Nolan North is proud to present the Nolan Voice Award to Nolan North for being the best Nolan North of the year.
Don't you run it!
Hey, what happened to sleeping?
Okay, I know it doesn't look like it, but this here is not a bad read. Only one problem. Right there.
Where did you get that?
Back at Bill's.
What else did you get?
Well, here. Let's make you all nostalgic.
That is actually before my time. That is winter, though.
Metal Gear Rising. Again. Well, anyway, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance sounds like what would happen if you gave Platinum the keys to an edgy action hero, and nothing quite beats the ripping tunes befitting of a game named Revengeance. Assembling together many talented bands, musicians, and guitarists from the LA rock and metal scene into one soundtrack, and then listening to it while you deal with frantic high-speed cyborg action makes this an experience. And just when you think it couldn't get any better, the vocals come in. Rising's soundtrack is deliciously engorged in high-energy rocking metal and personality that nearly delivers as much action as the game itself, and we couldn't have picked out a better companion to our boss battles any better ourselves. We think the other nominees all sound amazing in their own right, but in the end, it has to be this way. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance takes the Cranky Kong Award for Best Soundtrack of 2013.
The Wonderful 101. Just kidding, it's Metal Gear Rising again. Platinum Games' signature style has always been blending wacky high-concept stories with fast-paced, stylish combat. So when it was announced that they were to be handling the new Metal Gear spin-off game, Kojima's bizarre, revisionist sci-fi universe felt right at home. As an action game, Rising sports a predominantly defensive style of play, evading and striking your enemies in equal measure, then replenishing your health by ripping out their insides with your signature Zandatsu technique. Sounds easy? Think again. The game is built around the necessity of your Zandatsu, pitting you against hordes of cyborgs that will test your endurance, as well as your reflexes. It's all the same kind of stylish off-the-wall combat we've come to expect from Platinum. And don't even get us started on the boss battles. If rocking out to power metal while fighting cyborgs with your sword isn't actually kind of fun, then we don't care what is. Metal Gear Rising takes home the award for Best Gameplay of 2013.
Journalism's total bullshit. Jeff Keighley. Do they pander? Their game paper. Game review. Our favorite paper. Modern games. Modern games. Yeah. Modern. Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 3.
Try to break the pattern. Go against the grain. Focus on the giving. Like privilege, cis privilege, this bad entitlement, transphobic.
Posting on your blog. These nice dads are just doing their job. It's misogyny, it's misogyny, 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 misogyny.
righteous one, of my social justice I am proud. Yata Nita, I know I'm so much better than the common, vulgar, ablest game crowd. They tell me, Anita, why they keep on making them, why these sinful dads still keep getting cash. I hear them, I see them, the gameplay slick as sealing wax, their skirts unable to contain that ass. Like privilege, cis privilege, this fan entitlement, transphobic, exploiting, they gain such amusement. It's all their fault, and they know shit. It's the patriarchy, the ones who fan these flames. It's all their fault if there's no plan to sexually exploit instead of man. Thank me, Anita, don't let these game devs make a dime. Please let their games unsold unknown. And shame all the gamers and make their taste change overnight and make more pretentious games like Gone Home.
Minister Frollo, Dragon's Crown sold well.
What?
Our complaints did nothing for it.
But how? Never mind, get out! Stop raping me! I'll show them. I'll show them, even if I have to kill every cis male there is! Cis privilege, male privilege, game devs, you shit lord dogs, cater to my life views, or else I'll tell my blogs. I won't even buy them. I don't even like games, but do what I say, or I will
People have debated for a very long time over whether or not video games are art. Roger Ebert says that they aren't, but he's a dead fag, so who cares? Just like its sister mediums of books and cinema, video games let you express complex ideals about using magical powers to kill steampunk robots. While video games are best known to the masses for titles such as Call of Duty or Fez, true connoisseurs can indulge themselves in the medium's real artistic offerings. To condemn the medium over the failings of a select number of titles is absolutely juvenile. I hope this short skit has opened my fellow gamers' eyes to what the medium is truly capable of. Sayonara and happy gaming.
And now.
Katie, I'm so sorry.
Of course. Did you really expect anything else? Watching this show for more than 5 minutes, it was pretty obvious. But anyway, Gone Home has been called the greatest video game in history, with a story that brings its players to tears, and how can you not play it and fall in love? I'll tell you how, because people wouldn't shut up about it, and it's boring. However, we've already discussed the gameplay aspects of this game, so let's move on to other aspects of why it's bad. You aren't allowed to have an actual opinion of it. If you don't like the game, you're seen as a homophobe or a sexist. This game would be just another boring indie game, and in fact, was, until everyone started talking and didn't stop. And at $20 for 3 hours of gameplay? Fuck you, Gone Home.
Jump off the edge and fly, but this is not.
I said my sword was a tool of justice. Not used in anger. Not used for vengeance. But now I'm not so sure. And besides, this isn't my sword.
Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Again. Okay, now I'm not happy about the sweeps, really. You guys made my job way more fucking difficult than it needed to be. Seriously, I'm pretty sure you all thought we were gonna fix the vote and did this just to spite us. But, you know what? We're okay with this one. The game was awesome, and we all know it. Sure, it's not high art, the plot is absolutely silly as all hell, but it commits to its own insanity with such unflinching seriousness that it just works. The combat is tight, the music plain fucking rocks, and the boss fights are something to savor. Nothing less than expected from the fine folks of Platinum. I'm proud to say that this game really deserves this award. We can't wait to see what Platinum has next in store for us. And if a sequel is on the way, rehashing be damned, I know it's gonna be good. Alright, that's it. That is the least worst award for least worst game of the year.
Adios, amigos.
Our time is at its end now. But what award show would be complete without summing up everything we've learned in order to show you just how irrelevant your last hour and a half has been? Monster Girl Quest took home a lot of prizes this year. Either 4chan really hates us, or you depraved fucks haven't read a good book in your life. Regardless, no other award show has the balls to admit that it won in the first place. So let's hear it for integrity. Meanwhile, Metal Gear Rising swept the awards. Sure, sweeps make for a less interesting show, but you have yourselves to blame for that. At least the show hasn't gotten as stale as the Oscars. Topical humor. We're trying really hard to stay relevant here. And finally, Gone Home is literally the worst game ever made. Gone Home killed your family. Gone Home is ruining America. I'll never be able to remember a time when I didn't have to think about what Gone Home did to me. Gone Home is shit. Everything is shit. Video games are shit. I fucking hate video games! We sure hope you enjoyed this production as much as we did making it. Here's the Dark Souls 2 taking home every award for 2014.
生きる気力を失ったまま放浪を続ける碇シンジ。たどり着いた場所が彼に希望を教える。ついに発動する保管計画。ファイナルインパクト阻止のため最後の決戦を挑むビレ。空を咲くブンダー。赤い大地を疾走するエヴァ8+2号機。次回「新エヴァンゲリオン劇場版」。さて最後までサービスサービス。